Now, Émilie Chalmin from the Université Savoie and Editem Laboratory will present us, shed light on the schematics painting of Savoy, the use of micro XRD to understand the painting walls.
Thank you for the introduction. Okay. I'm happy to be here to present you our research. No, it's okay. On the schematic painting of Savoie, so in France. So in the frame of the project called Patrimalp, we are 7 laboratories coming from the University Grenoble-Alpes and the University Savoie-Mont-Blanc. And we try to develop the study on cultural heritage. And we want to also create a consortium to develop this study on different objects coming from a geographical environment specific to the Rhône-Alpes region. And this object cross the time from the prehistory to the Middle Age. And among these different objects we study during this project Patrimalp, I want to focus today on the schematic painting and more specifically the site named Rocher du Château. And I want to explain how the use of the synchrotron X-ray enabled to perform and to increase the data on these paints. So, these schematic rock paintings are present different shape, different figure, and there is a large thematic we can find. More specifically, we can found some engraves, but also some paintings, mainly created with mineral pigments and hematite pigment or natural pigments. That means that we can't do any absolute dating on this paint, and due to the archaeological environment and the repartition and the corpus of this schematic painting known from the Iberian Peninsula to the Western Alps and at the frontier of Italy, they can attribute, archaeologists can attribute this schematic painting to the Neolithic period from the 5 to 2 millennia before present. So this corpus presents 1,036 sites, and obviously it's difficult to study all of these sites, and only one archaeologist tried to understand this corpus about the schematic painting. She's Claudia Dufran, and we try to help us to study with an integrative approach to know more about these schematic paintings. And to do that, we try to develop this integrative approach based on archaeological approach, geomorphological approach, and physico-chemistry of the painting matter. So this integrative approach try to answer to different questions about the context and the environment of this realization of this paint, when, and the question of the chronology and the attribution to the period and to the because we can't have an access to absolute dating, we need to cross over a maximum of information to be able to create this chronology of this large corpus. So we also answer this question about alteration, conservation, and also we want to try to understand what is the supply strategy for the material, coloring material. So I want to focus more today on this physico-chemical approach, from the in situ observation to the analysis of the wall sample on archaeological artifacts. So first, we try with a digital camera and portative instruments such as Raman spectroscopy to study directly the paint in situ. But we need also to have an access to more detailed information inside the pigment, and to be able to understand the stratigraphy due to the complex stratigraphy, due to the crust and the byproduct mineralization. So we need to analyze at several scale, and we need also to take care of this archaeological artifact, and also from this tiny sample. So I will develop after the result obtained with different method on this different sample. And we cross also with synchrotron X fluorescence and diffraction X-ray. And thanks to the collaboration with the SRF in the Patrimal project, we have the access to two beamlines, T2AM and ID22, to be able to make mainly X-ray diffraction. So the difficulties is to keep the sample entire and to avoid any preparation. But so you have several examples before about these difficulties to keep it between two ultralane film, and also to keep entire also the archaeological object, even if it make a few millimeters or several centimeters. So about the Rocher du Château, the Rocher du Château is situated in the Haute-Maurienne, in high altitude glacier valley, and this serpentine block is particularly impressive in the landscape, and is situated in the circulation axis, which has been used from the Neolithic period. So inside this Rocher du Château, the paints are developed on about 80 meter long at the back, at the bottom of the cliff of this huge block, and there are several excavation squares realized by Eric Thirault at the beginning of the 2000s. And we try to understand the development and the different figures we can find in this Rocher du Château. So a large panel with a red deer with the oversized antler. It's painted in a concave area of the cliff, and also schematic figure composed of anchor-shaped figure. So I present here the relevé created by Claudia Delfrance, because if I present you the formal and the realistic picture, we don't see really the paint, because it's like a shadow. It's completely. It's really difficult to see and to be visible, this paint, and so the conservation is not it's not very good for this paint. In the archaeological layer, we can find several artifacts which enable to constrain and to understand the period of the settlement, and associated with pigmented matter attributed so to the second half of the 5th millennium BC. You can see different various kind of matter, coloring matter. are more or less cohesive, and that means that we need to adapt also the analysis as a function of this sample, of this object. So the Rocher du Château is a site particularly important and interesting because of the exceptional coexistence of the schematic rock art and the dates coloring matter. And we want to know if the comparison of the composition of the painting to the archaeological coloring matter from the archaeological layer could provide an argument in favor of the dating, and could be also an information about the strategy, the supply strategy, and also the preparation. So first, we need to start to understand the taphonomy, the very difficult crust, several kinds of crusts. Here on this cartography at the large scale, we can see a large diversity of this taphonomy. And when we observe also directly in the paint, we can estimate the thickness of the painting, the strategy, and enable to find the best place to make sampling. We try also to make directly a Raman spectroscopy in situ, which reveals the presence of hematite, but also from this crust, the calcium oxalate. But we don't have any information about the stratigraphy and the high fluorescence effect due to organic compounds enable really to understand, and it's not systematic results obtained with the micro-Raman. So we need to go further and to try to understand this stratigraphy thanks to the analysis of microsamples. First by scanning electron microscopy, and which reveal the hematite embedded in the calcium oxalate and associated also with phosphates. And we focus with phosphate to be sure that it's coming from the environment, of if it's coming from the preparation, and as a marker, as a clue also of preparation. So to go further, we need to cross over every scale of observation at large scale and microscopic scale, and also thanks to the micro diffraction of X-ray, we confirm the presence of calcium oxalate, but also the presence of gypsum. And we find again the hematite with a very low crystallinity. About the coloring matter, a large variety also of morphology, and large mixture of hematite with quartz, with also apatite. And we wonder about the origin of this coloring matter. And due to the morphology of the hematite, and also due to the elementary and the presence of some trace element, we suppose an origin from a vein mineralization. For the other objects, we are less coherent. We find directly by optical microscopy the presence of charcoal and apatite. That means that perhaps we have an access to origin of the mixture. And thanks to the PIXI analysis, we confirm the association between calcium and phosphate. We can link to the apatite. However, this apatite don't appear in the micro X-ray diffraction. That means that it's not sufficiently crystallized to be detected by this technique. And we find also a very complex, very complex mixture in this. And we really have an importance to cross over at different scale and with different technique to be able to reconstruct the mixture of this sample, because the charcoal is not observed by micro-XRD and not by chemical observation. So I want really to focus on the complementary of the in situ and laboratory techniques and synchrotron facility. So it's really important to cross over at different scale and with the morphological, chemical and structural identification to be able to discriminate the pigment, the resolving byproducts, the sediment for the artifact and the rock substrate for the pigment deposit on the substrate, and eventually the additional charge. So we found here various constituents for this artifact, and we try to understand the geological origin with the vein mineralization, but the presence of maghemite asks the question of an eventual heat treatment. And we need to go further thanks to transmission electron microscopy to be able to detect really and to answer to this question. And about the presence of charcoal and apatite, we can make the hypothesis of intentional addition. Concerning the painting matter and to be able to answer to the question, can make a link and a comparison between the painting matter and the artifact. The pigments are the same. The morphology are quite equivalent, but what is the clue to be able to say it's the same? It's really difficult to say it's the same. And we need to go really further, and we need to be very prudent to clearly pose this hypothesis and go deeper after evacuate the byproduct, the substrate. We need to go and to understand more this amorphous phosphorus and to understand if it's due to lichen activity, to presence of apatite, and if it's coming from an additional intentional addition. I want to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Emily, for this interesting talk. I have a question concerning the presence of charcoal in your sample. Maybe I didn't get it correctly. Do you think that the charcoal is coming from plant remains? Or is it only the fact that you detect carbon in your samples?
No. If you see, there is really charcoal coming from the burning. Yes, it's not only due to the presence of carbon, but really visualize the shape and the morphology of the charcoal.
Okay. Because otherwise, because you have this combination between carbon and apatite, you can also think of burnt bone remains.
Yes, but we don't see any bones, and the apatite, it's not the size of the apatite, it's not sufficiently, so we see some crystal, natural crystal, but it seems there is 2 or 3 kind of different apatite inside the sample.
Yeah, but
due to the morphology, the color, and but any are crystalline.
Yeah, but in burnt bone, apatite is not necessarily crystallized.
No, I know.
Yeah. Okay.